Hello, good morning, welcome back to the channel. I'm not in rainy Surrey anymore. I'm in sunny Tenerife to ride the new Triumph Trident. It's Triumph's new A2 legal 660cc triple powered middleweight roadster thing that's designed to take on the MT-07 and Honda's CB650R. So it's meant to appeal to people who want a first big bike or people getting back into biking. It's still got 81 horsepower, so it's not a complete pussycat. I'm going to be taking it up into the volcanic mountain lands of Tenerife to see if it feels like a £7,199 bike, which is obviously quite a, well, not a lot of money. It's Triumph's most affordable bike in their current range. I'm going to see if it feels cheap in any way. I'll give you a quick walk around, then you'll join me on the mean streets of Tenerife. You have to excuse Alistair Fagan for getting in my shot there. But yeah, this is the bike. This is pretty much an all-new engine. It's a 660cc triple with 81 horsepower and 64 newton meters of torque. And yeah, it's not the same engine that's in the Street Triple S. It's got 64 new components. It's gone through a whole engine development program of its own, and it's been designed to give you 90% of torque through most of the rev range. So it's one of those bikes that's been designed for real world riding rather than thrashing the nuts off it. The idea is it gives you power and torque where you need it. We'll see how that fares up front. You've got Showa non-adjustable forks, obviously to keep price down, but they're Showa, so you know they should be pretty decent. Nissan 2-pot sliding calipers, and it's on Michelin Road 5 tyres, which are actually quite an expensive tyre, but it's a tyre that you can ride all year round, and that's the idea. Obviously, this is going to be used in the wet, in the snow, well, probably not the snow, but just as an everyday bike. So Triumph's kind of spent the money, I think, in sensible places. Hopefully that'll pay off. So you've got the black one and you've got the grey one with red bits, and there's also a white one and something else. There's nothing too bright, too vibrant, and I had a go at the Triumph product manager last night saying, when is Triumph going to launch some nice colour bikes? And he said they consumer test all of their colours, and this is what people want. People are actually quite conservative with their bike colour choices, so there we go. If you pick one of the colour schemes with the large Triumph logo on, that's an extra £100, so makes it a £7,300 bike. That kind of is what it is, really. It's all designed to be accessible and easy to ride. Low seat height is 805mm, and they've given actually some thought to, he says, the pillion accommodation as well. Double-sided swing arm. It's going to sound like a triple. Single side exit exhaust. Exits on the right-hand side. There's no accessory exhaust because it's too hard and expensive to do with Euro 5 emissions, which this bike meets. Right, that's enough waffle from me. Next time you see me, my legs will be here and my bum will be... It's really hard to do backwards. My bum will be on the seat and I'll be thrashing it around the roads of Tenerife. See you in a bit. I'm going to have some breakfast. Right, here we go then on the press launch of the Triumph Trident. Sort my labels out. Initial impressions are I'm 6'3", and it feels quite low, feels quite small, but the cutouts for my knees, they fit, it all works. So yeah, happy days. I have to say, I know this is an inexpensive bike. Side stand is the first thing you notice that feels a little bit inexpensive. Also, you've only got a span adjustable brake lever, you don't have a span adjustable clutch lever, but otherwise this all feels reasonably normal. Yeah, this feels quite small, but you know, that's approachable, isn't it? I'm not going to be reviewing this like I'm expecting it to be some kind of super naked. Just an accessible bike. You can get an up and down quick shifter blipper. That's not fitted to this bike. We have got heated grips though, which we're going to need apparently. I'm absolutely sweating at the moment because it's 22 degrees, and we're going up there where I'm promised it's going to be really sodding cold. Yeah, no quick shifter. Mirrors are pretty big, pretty easy to adjust. Boring, sensible stuff. Well, I know it's early days for any engine impressions, but the engine's very tractable. I've been kind of going through 30 limits in 4th and 5th gear, and it accelerates reasonably well when you gun it. So yeah, Triumph says it's got lots of torque low down, and it definitely feels that way. Right, motorway speed update. I'm doing about 70 miles an hour, and yeah, it's naked, so I've got wind blast on my chest, and it sits about 5,500–6,000 RPM.
at 120 kilometers an hour. So what's that? About 70 miles an hour. First to fourth gear in this are shorter than in the Street Triple S, and I think fifth and sixth are longer for cruising. So yeah, I'm not getting any horrible vibes through the handlebars at 70 miles an hour. Let's get up to 80. Yeah, 80 is about 6,250 RPM, and it's getting a little bit buzzy there. But you know, you could do motorway miles on this, it's not going to piss you off. That is my initial impression anyway. Right, more mountains. Come on, bring on some mountains, please. We're going over there, where it gets all mountainy and volcano-y. We're going to El Teide. I'm almost certainly saying that incorrectly. It's the volcano, it's in the middle of Tenerife. That's where we're going. Doesn't feel cheap yet. We'll see how suspension copes when the going gets gnarly. Sounds pretty good. The tunnel test. Go on, Mr. Peugeot. Do him, mate. Do him. Let's overtake the Peugeot. I'd say the suspension setup doesn't feel that bad. If you chop the throttle, get on the throttle in the middle of the corner, it doesn't do anything weird. It just feels planted. And I'm not, you know, I feel like I've got a connection to the front wheel that's good enough to tip it in and kind of lean on the tyre a bit. Yeah, I feel like this is a pretty stable bike. And if you're new to biking, I don't know, it's not going to scare you. It's going to be your friend. But at the same time, I've been riding 11 years and I can see that you can have some fun on this in the corners anyway. So yeah, first handling impressions are really good. Doesn't feel cheap. Yeah, it's not like outrageously fast, but that triple noise actually makes you feel like you're going a bit faster than you are. It's an endearing racy noise. Oh, cheeky! Solid white lines don't matter, do they? Now you're in a foreign country. Some people. I mean, I'm probably going to do the same in a minute. Danger overtake, go! Wasn't very dangerous. This is dangerous, riding with no hands. Oh, this tarmac's lovely. I'd already recommend Tenerife for a riding holiday, although it is a bit of a mish if you bring your own bike here. Makes a nice noise, you know, when you're just like halfway through the revs and you're just giving it a bit of that, sounding like a bit of a chav. Go on lads, let's have it. Lads and ladies, I should say. Stuff it in. Gas it up the other side. Trident temperature update. It's getting a bit chilly now, and all the sweat that I harboured down at the bottom of the mountain where it's 23 degrees C is starting to feel a bit cold, let's be honest. My salty stew on my back especially. But I've got heated grips, and apparently they are ferocious. I mean, it says the Triumph PR man. Brakes are quite good. You have to kind of pull the lever pretty hard, but they are good. They stop you as well as you think they should. They're not some crappy ones. Lovely noise, lovely noise. Man on a small bike problem did just get my toe down a bit in a corner, and my foot was properly on the peg. Are you doing your makeup in your Cabriolet Beetle? That is such a cliche, I feel sorry for you. You can kind of, yeah, you get your elbows out and kind of ride it almost supermoto style a bit, and it doesn't mind. It doesn't fuck and weave if you're being a bit of a penis. Quite appropriately, I've just seen a sign saying this is the Corona Forest. Are we turning right? Oh, we're going in here. Oh, is this coffee already? Fine, coffee stop. Don't drink coffee. Surrounded by bikes. Right, we've just done our first 45 minutes of riding on the new Trident, and to be fair, I'm really impressed. Mostly at the way it handles. It's super agile, and you can actually change your line in a corner and it doesn't shit itself like quite a lot of bikes with budget suspension do. As usual, Triumph has done a good job of setting the suspension up for average Joe like me, and I'm like 14.5, 15 stone. I sat on it and it sags quite a bit, but it still handles really well. Got my toe down a bit accidentally. I'm really impressed. So yeah, no final conclusions yet, but things are looking good. I'd say the rev limit's only 10,000 or so, and you do slam into it a little bit. Oh, it's very pretty up here. Bits of rock on the road. Delicious. Yeah, we just had coffee stop and everyone's been saying how agile it is, and I do agree. It's 189 kilograms wet, which is pretty light, and I know it flicks from side to side really easily, and it holds the line really nicely. It feels nice and stable. If you go into a corner too hot, it doesn't punish you, it doesn't wallow about. Just feels like a very well sorted bike suspension wise, and the brakes are strong enough. You know, on paper the spec sheet of this might look a little bit humdrum, but actually the riding experience, it feels like a much more expensive bike. That's beautiful. Look at this, and to think it's 3 weeks till Christmas. Dated the video. Wow, look at that. Apparently I should be smelling sulphur soon, because volcanoes and things. It's just very pretty. Right, things I like about Triumph Trident. This top display here, the black and white one, is super crystal clear. Like, even in bright daylight, it's like, you know, reading a Kindle or something. It just works. You're never wondering what gear you're in, what speed you're doing, anything like that. Sorry, the gear's on the colour one, but that's also very clear. Negatives. Let's round up with some negatives. The rev limiter is 10,000 something. You bang into it a lot, and if you've ever ridden a street triple, you'll be banging the limiter all the time, because they rev to what, 12 and a half, and this only goes to 10. It doesn't feel especially rapid. It's fast enough, sure. We are at about 2,100 meters, and it's definitely got noticeably slower as we've come up. So yeah, it's not perfect, but the important thing is it feels good value. It feels outstanding value, in fact. Just the way it's set up, the way it feels, it doesn't feel like a 7 grand bike. Basically, a good summary of this bike is I've had a lot of fun on it, and I've not felt like it's the bike holding me back at any point. So yeah, it's probably a fairly good compliment for the bike there. Yeah, really impressed with it. Anyway, go to Tim with an outro.
So after a full day's riding, about 110 miles in a mixture of rain, sun, mountains, motorways, what do I think of the Triumph Trident? Well, it's surprisingly good. It's better than I thought it would be. It's super agile, it's really fun to flick around, and even on a long sweep you stick it on its ear, it feels really stable. It doesn't feel like it's been built down to a price from the way it rides. The brakes are good enough. None of the kit may be especially sexy, but it all works really well on the road. We had some torrential rain and the Michelin Road 5 tyres were just fine. They just grip. That's what they're meant to do. It's a bike that can cope with all weathers and all that kind of stuff. Criticisms? Well, I would say the engine, it's torquey and you always end up riding it a gear higher than you think around town, which is good. It's easy to ride. However, I didn't find it that exciting. It does rev very quickly and it gives you a racy feel, but you're not actually going that quickly, and you'll headbutt the rev limiter at 10,000 something RPM quite a few times, especially if you come from a street triple. Obviously there's a reason it doesn't rev as high as something like a street triple, and that is to keep the servicing costs reasonable and to keep the service intervals decent as well. And Triumph is saying that this bike is one of the quickest to work on in a workshop compared to the MT-07. In terms of workshop hours, this should save you some money, and the whole cost of ownership thing has been considered. Obviously Triumph servicing is reasonably expensive, so I don't know if it is actually cheaper in the long run than something like the Yamaha. But hey, it's a very good bike, and if you want a good first bike or you're coming back to biking, it's a really good choice. I'm 6'3" and I probably looked a bit ridiculous on it, but I fit it and I was comfortable all day. The seat is ridiculously plush and comfy. I wasn't getting a sore body. The heated grips are very good. The ergonomics are very easy. It is just an easy bike, and that is really part of its appeal. If you want something that's going to set your world on fire, go and get a Street Triple RS, because it is a lot more exciting, but this is very good as well. It does a different job and it's not boring. So if you're half interested, I would say go and try one. Go and try a Trident. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please click like, subscribe, hit my bell, and I'll see you next time somewhere definitely more grim than Tenerife. But hey, it's 2020, you've got to take what you can. See you next time.